Hey friends, Pastor Michael from Organic Church. We're excited for another season of growing together. We'd love to have you join us on Sunday mornings at 10 or Wednesday evenings at 7 for friends, family, and a whole lot of Jesus. It is called Somebody Knows Something. And it's a true crime podcast, but the one that I'm listening to right now is about a little boy who went missing in Canada and just vanished. He was fishing with his dad, his siblings, and his dad's friend. The little boy said he was done fishing, walked 15 feet away, and just gone. Never saw him again. And it's such a confusing story to listen to because they don't tell you about the friend that was with them at all for like the first 4 episodes. And then they introduce this guy. And I'm like, well, if he's never been interviewed by the police, nobody's ever asked him any questions. Like, this is suspicious.
I noticed there's a lot of true crime ones in Canada.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Canada must be full of crime. Mounted police must not be very good at their job.
And it's massive and huge. And,
yeah. Well, and that was the thing. They said that, so the dad noticed that he was missing, and he said to the one son, "Hey, is Adrian sleeping in the car?" And the kid said, "Yeah," meaning what?
Oh.
Because apparently that's how you say "yeah" and say "what" in Canada.
Like, eh?
Yeah. And so they say, "Yeah." So dad hears, "Yes, he's sleeping in the car." Brother means, "What did you say?" Dad doesn't repeat himself. So it was hours before they even started looking for him.
Oh.
Because they thought he was asleep in the car.
Bad language barrier.
Yeah. So we're at the point now where we're looking for a body. We're not looking for a little boy. I mean, it's been 47 years at this point, something like that. They brought in cadaver dogs, which, by the way, I think is total BS. What else have they done? Oh, mediums and psychics, total BS. But yeah. They're searching nearby towns now to see if somebody abducted him and he's living there unbeknownst.
Yeah.
Bigfoot's hot.
Bigfoot, yeah,
I think he's hot in Canada.
I think Bigfoot got him. Yeah. Lazarus, you mean?
Lazarus.
Yeah. I was trying to think who.
Come on, man.
Oh, goodness. Well, Dawn, tonight was your topic. What was word it for us so that us dumb folk can jump on board?
Like our history, our lineage of religion in our family. So, do you know how far back someone, introduced religion to you or Christianity to you?
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
Real quick.
So not a family history, but just how
it
came to us.
Yes.
Personally. Okay.
Real quick. I've been told, I don't know how true this is, Nick, you will probably know this, that if we all trace our heritage back far enough, we're all related to a president and or someone famous.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I have heard that.
I don't know.
My grandmother swore we were related to Princess Diana.
Yeah. You maybe.
Because her mother's maiden name was Spencer. So
yeah, there it is.
Like,
gotta be.
Yay,
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Clayton grabbed a hold of that as a little boy and ran.
I am royalty.
And he believes that to this day.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just had somebody message me on Facebook and ask me why I unfriended them.
That's awkward.
No, I just ignore the message. It's not awkward for me at all.
How did they?
Well, they probably went looking for me. And here's my theory on just
but
Facebook.
How do they message you if?
You can message people who aren't friends on Facebook.
Oh, not if you.
And then it'd come a message request.
It
right?
becomes a message request. Yeah. So here's what I would say. Typically on Facebook, if you are not my friend in real life, you are not my friend on Facebook. I don't allow employees to be my friend on Facebook typically.
Yeah.
And this might sound harsh, and I don't mean it to sound harsh, but I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of times when people leave the church, I unfriend them. And it's not because I don't want to be friends with them on Facebook, but my connection to them is broken.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't care to see your stuff. I'm not a real friendly friend. Like, I'm just not. I'm just not. Yeah.
Well, so my 10-year reunion's coming up, and
I've never been to one.
No?
Me
Me
neither.
neither.
Never planned to go to one.
Really?
How long
Never
have you been
ever.
out of school?
Well, so
I don't know. Listen, every time I get with the committee to help plan it, and by the time I'm done planning it and I've spent time with them people, I don't want to go.
Exactly.
well, that's the thing because I'm like one of the class officers, but like the president, I'm not going to say any names, but even in high school, he was like, I'm like, why are you running as class president if you don't want to do anything?
Yeah, if you
So he was like that at the 5-year, like, well, I think it's stupid and we should have them vote. I'm like, I agree, because a lot of people don't go to the 5-year.
yeah.
So we did that. We voted. Many people didn't want to have one. All right. So then we were like, let's reevaluate. We're doing one for a 10-year. Well, no one said anything. No one said anything. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I messaged the one guy who's friends with the president. I'm like, hey, I reached out to so-and-so. Do you know do you have a phone number of his? He's like, oh yeah, I don't think he wants to do it anymore, but I'm more than like happy to help you guys. And I'm like, okay, because at that point I already had the other officers, in line. But I was like, but the thing is I don't want to be in charge of it because I've got my sister's wedding. The girl that's training me just put in her 2 weeks notice and said she'll be kind of done around the springtime. I'm like, I'm not doing no, I'm not going to do all this on my side. I'm like, I really hope that's not how it ends up, which it doesn't seem like it's going to. So, but all that to say, the 10-year reunion, like we made a Facebook page and I was going through all my lists, like of friends to invite, people that graduated with me. There's so many people that I'm like, I don't even know why I have you on here. I've talked to you maybe once or twice in my life, so now I'm going to have to go back, like, I don't know, a week from next. I mean, my eyes were strained. I'm like, I just need to go delete people.
Yeah, I think I have like 500 Facebook friends now, and some of them are connections through like Elvis World. So
yeah,
like people I trade with and sell stuff to, things like that. So like those people, but they're in a whole different. I don't follow them on Facebook. I don't see their stuff.
And a lot of the times, like with the algorithm, that like you don't even see their stuff.
That's
anyway.
what I'm saying.
I'm like, I didn't even know I had them on Facebook.
No, and I got we're on a tangent, but Facebook. I think. Let me back up. So we all learned that Mark Zuckerberg is now going to. We're not fact checking Facebook posts anymore. We're going to have community notes. So if somebody posts something that's not true or is whatever, just offensive to somebody else, you make notes on it, but you're not allowed, like they won't take it down anymore. However, I think that they should implement a new one where they fact check every post that an old person makes. Because if I see one more share on one of those fake posts about a lost baby, missing dog,
or yes.
person with dementia, the houses that are for sale with the very obviously photoshopped for sale sign in front of them, and people share these things and then get scammed, and I'm constantly like, hey, this isn't real, hey, this isn't real, and people are like, oh, thanks for telling me, I didn't know. How do you not know? They should all just have to be checked. They should have to be filtered through a young person before they're allowed to be posted.
So fun fact, my grandma's house that she now lives in, it was up for auction, but they knew before it was even
that it was
put on auction. Like my mom and dad were like, let's go buy that. So they did the day of the auction. So one of these scammers like went and got those pictures from online, but then other pictures from like a house that was like brand new, like yours or something, and put them together and was saying that it's for rent. And we're like, you are a scammer. Like my stepmom like messaged them like, listen here, lady, I'm the owner of this. Like, you better take this down.
That's funny. But I struggle with that, and I unfollow people who post those things. Like, I don't want to see, because I don't need to be involved in you're crazy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because you can still have them as a friend, but just unfollow them.
Yeah, but I have learned I don't typically do that. I have one person in the community who is a self-proclaimed pillar of the community. And I unfollowed them, and I wish I would have unfriended them back then, but I didn't, and now I feel like I'm in too deep to unfriend them. So,
afraid you end up in a box?
No, it's more of a like
under concrete.
Under asphalt. Under asphalt. No, I feel like there are some people that I've had connections with in the past that, like, the person who messaged me just now is a past congregant, but they haven't been around since Florence was here, so it's been a long time. And if they're listening to this, they're going to hear this for the first time. I never really liked them anyway. They made me uncomfortable. Like, it's not like, oh, I think you're stupid or you're ugly or you smell bad. They made me uncomfortable. They would say things and they would get too close, and it was just like that little bit of like,
uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's hard to make me uncomfortable too,
Yeah.
because like I don't really care. I'll walk through the street naked. I really don't care. But like just I don't know. It was really hard to describe. So, I was like, yeah.
My grandma said, "Well, I hope these people at Family Dollar weren't listening to you guys."
I went in there the other day. Okay, here's a new one. We're gonna do an update, the Family Dollar update now. Okay, so I walk in the other day and I was like, I really needed something to drink. We were out of sweet tea at our house. I drank 3 glasses of water for the day. God knows that's enough. I decided I was going to go get myself a 12-pack of Coke. And then, of course, all of the kids want snacks and yada, yada. So I'm in there with an armful of stuff, and I walk up front, and the girl comes down to the second register to wait on me, which is never open, right? Like, it's always the first register. She comes down to the second register, and she waits on me. But I noticed there are 4 people leaned over the counter at the first register, and you can hear them talking like they're doing something. And the one guy looked borderline homeless. The other lady was...
I think I know who you mean.
Okay, so he looked borderline homeless. The other lady, I'm not sure, like, if she lived in Janaton or, like, this looked technical. It looked like they should have had a professional, is what it looked like to me. So I walked by.
On the other side of the counter.
I walked by and I jokingly said, there's always something going on in this place. Like every time I come through, there's something happening. And the lady goes, yeah. She's like, today we're trying to fix this tagging gun. And she holds up this tagging gun. And it's in a million pieces. Like there's springs popping out of it. And they're trying to put it back together. And I'm thinking, throw it in the trash. Buy a new one. Like it can't be $15.
Well, they probably was putting tape in it and it just blew apart.
No, not tape. Like a tagging gun, like the little, like throw it in the trash. Throw it in the trash. But anyhow, I was like, I left just shaking my head. Just like, what is happening in this place?
And you moved there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's like, have you ever, what's that? Oh, there was an old movie, black and white movie. Shoot. I can't remember the name of it. But this is not me being politically correct. This is me talking about, I think it was called Freak Show. And it was about people who were sideshows in circuses, and they're gooble gobble, one of us. Anybody remember that?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
Was it really old?
It's really old. It's like black and white, like
Yeah,
stupid old.
I think it's called Freaks.
Freaks, that's it. That's exactly what
It's
it
the
is.
same guy who made Dracula.
It's
with Bela Lugosi.
Weird,
Yeah.
but it's
It's
out there.
Mm.
Anyhow, back to our lineage conversation. I feel like now that I've moved to Janaton, I just have to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Expect less. That is a weird situation. Only at the Family Dollar. The post office, those people are pretty normal. Well, okay, most of them are pretty normal. Like, most of them are pretty normal. Yeah. When you go to the Family Dollar, though, you just got to be like, all right, this is what it is.
Have you met Teddy yet?
I don't know who Teddy is. Teddy, the long-haired one? Yep. Sure have. He sang me a song while he brought me my packages.
Very talkative, very friendly.
Yes, very
he
friendly.
talks so much. I love him. God love him. But man,
He comes through.
Teddy, if you're listening, I don't think he does. But Teddy, if you're listening.
I came in. There was a lady standing there. She handed the yellow slips. I walk in. He takes my yellow slips. And I think that was the time that Jarvie followed me in. And he's like, I ain't doing 3. And he whistles and he walks back there and he comes back out. The lady who was in front of me, he makes wait and gives me my packages first. It wasn't intentional. It was just like, sorry, his are first. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this guy, like, he just can't.
So he's, sorry, off topic, but he's like a retired Marine.
Gotcha.
And he just does this for fun. And he's worked in Philly, worked in Janaton, worked in Bowerston,
maybe not
Yorksville and Denison. But he just loves it. He loves his job.
Fun's maybe not the word I would use for working at the post office, but I mean, hey.
I'm like, hey, Teddy, good on you, because nope, not for me.
Yeah, right. All right. We can go back now.
Lineage.
That's what we were talking about.
We are not linear right now.
My cord's all wrapped up around my neck.
What sparked this
I was thinking about my grandmothers.
Yeah.
And that's as far back as I know. Mm-hmm. You know, both of my grandmothers. Mm-hmm. I didn't know any of my great grandparents or anything like that. But both of my grandmothers were Christian. My mom's mom, she was a Seventh-day Adventist, so she went on Saturday. You know, you didn't buy anything on Saturday. You didn't do your cooking on Saturday. You didn't eat any pork. You didn't do any of that stuff. You know, so. But and then
And
as
she drank her postum, didn't
and
she?
she drank. Yes, she did.
What is that?
Because you didn't drink caffeine. She didn't drink
So-
coffee. So
Instant.
It's like an artificial coffee, kind of like, remember the old Sanka decaffeinated?
No.
That's we're telling our age here.
No.
It kind of looked like that. But
It sounds terrible.
I think it's made out of like nuts.
I
or
have
something.
no idea. But yes, she did.
Yeah.
Oh, like
they make
they-
it out of nutshells.
They had like chock full of nuts or something like that. Is that? Ugh.
yeah.
That sounds terrible. I'd rather lick the bottom of somebody's foot. That's gross.
Yeah, instant coffee is the worst.
My grandpa drinks instant coffee all the time. He makes like a regular pot of coffee, and he usually has 1 or 2 cups of that in the morning. And they may have a Keurig now, but I remember that he used to do that. He would come in the house through the day because he worked outside almost all the time. He'd come in and he would make himself a cup of instant coffee, and he would take that spoon and just scoop those like granules in there. I'm like, just drink the coffee grounds. It's got to be about the same.
It dissolves.
Ugh. I
They
ain't
make
buying
it.
that.
They make it in packets now.
Yeah, I heard like it's like a single.
Single
like
pack
a tea
thing.
bag.
Yeah.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds awful. I'll stick to my regular coffee. I'll stick
I
to my
think I
normal
remember I
coffee.
took some of those to Haiti because I was so worried about going to Haiti and not having coffee.
Yeah.
And then, dumb me didn't know that some of the best coffee beans
comes
are
from
grown
there.
in
True.
Haiti.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, the more powerful they get, the worse off you might be. And in Haiti, you might be a little too many steps from a bathroom. So.
Dig a hole.
Dig a hole, yeah.
And many did.
Find a bush. No, don't wipe with that.
It's itchy.
It's itchy. All right, so you're saying great
No, just my grandmother.
your grandmother.
Mhm.
Your grandmother.
Yeah. I didn't have any family that I knew any of my greats. Nobody
Gotcha.
lived long enough. So, but, and then my grandmother, who was Seventh-day Adventist, as she aged and couldn't get out of the house anymore, she was a PTL. Jimmy Baker, is that his name?
Jimmy
Baker?
Swaggart?
No, Jimmy
No,
Baker.
Jim Baker.
and
Oh, man.
Tammy Faye.
Tammy Faye. Oh,
Yes.
Tammy Faye.
Yes, she was a PTL
I used to
church
joke
goer.
that it always looked like she walked through a Maybelline windstorm.
Yeah.
Somebody shot her in the face with a makeup bazooka. They made a movie about her, or a TV show, didn't they?
I think they made a movie
Yeah, I think there
about
was a movie.
their whole experience.
I haven't seen that yet. I should watch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I
either.
haven't either.
It's got to be good. It's got to be.
It's not on your watch.
No, it was somebody coming in, and it's Easton. Tonight is dance, and so Emmett's allowed to stay home by himself, but Easton can't stay there with him because he doesn't listen to nothing. So Alyssa drops Easton off here, takes Adeline to dance. So house update. We almost have a basement done.
Oh,
Although, never met anybody who hangs drywall slower than the people who are hanging drywall in my house. I hung all the drywall in my old house by myself. Well, not by myself, me and my dad, and did it in a day and a half. These guys were there all day today. There were 6 of them all day today, and they haven't even fully finished one room.
Okay, my quick
you getting
question.
paid hourly?
I don't know if they're getting paid hourly or not,
Yeah.
but
Getting paid
my
by the
guess is
hour.
it's their next job is outside and it's cold. So they're like, nah, we're going to take this one.
What time do they start?
8 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
But they took a 2-hour lunch today.
Oh, well.
I swear, because
Any of the
most drywallers,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
they
yeah.
don't start it till 10, and they
Yeah.
don't quit.
Well-
they quit at 3.
3 o'clock.
because
Yep.
it's 4 off.
and
by
then they ask you for a car ride home.
No.
My situation, it got drywall all over my
No.
seat, and I'm like,
No. I have so the guy who's doing my basement build out is an Amish contractor. I've known him for a long time. Super nice guy. And he subcontracts this drywall crew. He'll hang the drywall, but he doesn't finish it. And so because this was a slightly larger job, he just had them hang it, finish it, and then he moved on to the next project. When they're done hanging and finishing, he'll come back, paint, put in trim, all of that stuff. So it just kind of it keeps him in rotation.
so
on
they
the other
weren't
job.
finishing it today, just
No,
hanging.
they haven't
Oh,
even
man.
hung a whole room yet. They only
How many people?
6 people.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
there were
you said
8. There were 8 total when I left at 8 o'clock. But I'm assuming the first 2 guys were just there to get the crew started, and then they bounced out. But there were 6 guys there hanging drywall. And
Are they
it's still-
insulating it or anything?
It was already
It's already
insulated. It was already done.
Yeah, I bet it's hourly.
It was already done. So it's rough stuff. But hopefully by the end of February, we'll have a basement finished. I ordered carpet today, so get it done sooner rather
Are you
than...
doing a family room down there too?
So when you go down to the bottom of the steps, it's going to be one big, long, open room. There's going to be homeschool space down there in that space, and then the other side will be a family room, toy room space, and then Emmett's bedroom, and then my office will be down there as well. And then we will eventually finish the bathroom down there next. So we haven't done that yet, but we know we're going to have to cut up the floor in order to put a tub in. So it was like an extra $15,000 to do that. So we decided to wait. Yeah. All the equity from the old house is gone at this point. It's all in this project. So yeah. We were thankful for that because it allowed us to do this job and not it hasn't taken any of our
good.
money,
That's
quote
good.
unquote. We were able to just
nice.
flip that. So yeah. Beth, your turn.
My turn?
Yeah. Oops, I broke my pen.
So, my grandmother, she always went to the First Christian church here in Uricksville, and I don't remember. I don't remember because they died when she was little. Her parents also went there.
You said she died when she was little?
No, her parents died when she was little.
Oh, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, her mom.
I thought I was hearing things. But
I might have
okay.
said
thanks.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
Like her mom died when she was 3, and her dad died when she was 5.
Oh my gosh.
But there was like 11 kids all.
Who
spread
raised
out,
her?
The older ones.
Oh my gosh.
So she was she was 3, and my Uncle Lee was 5 when her mom died.
Goodness gracious. So how old was the oldest then when dad died?
7.
One of them was married. So.
Okay, so they're old enough. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
they were like.
I was
all
like, we're
spread
talking
out.
like 13 years old. They
No.
just took over the mortgage. They're just
No.
living in a house. It's fine.
No.
Aunt Kathy basically did that to Uncle Brian and Aunt Gay.
Really?
Because their mom died when they were young.
Yes.
And then when Dad died, because Aunt Kathy's one of the older ones.
Yes.
But then Gay and Brian were one
Young,
of the younger
yes.
ones.
So, and my grandpa's mom, so it would have been my great grandma, Patterson. I always called her grandma in the little house because her house was little, and that's what I remember.
Do we all have nicknames like that for our grandparents? Because doesn't Chase have one that's like Grandpa on the farm or something like that? That's not on
And
a
then
farm.
Grandpa Wallover. Yeah.
So, but I don't ever remember her going to church. So, and then my dad's parents, they were Moravian. So when I was little, I went to the First Christian until like I was like 5 or 6, and all my friends were going to the Methodist, so that's where we started going.
Yeah. The First Christian Church probably had red carpet back then.
Probably.
Like it has like a burgundy colored carpet through the whole sanctuary. I mean, it is red.
The
red.
one behind Papa John's?
No.
No, it's
Across the street from the police station.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had a friend get married in there, and I was like, wow, that is some carpet.
Now,
And they do communion every Sunday.
Do they really? Wow.
with the Moravian side, did they have a Moravian star?
Mm-hmm.
My grandma had one too because her mom was Moravian.
Side note, you know why they do communion every Sunday? The pastor can't write a long enough message to get through sermons. Because, see, that's the good thing about communion for me. Like, sometimes I'm like, you know what? It's a communion Sunday. Hallelujah.
I just need to highlight my keynotes.
Yep, just get through the notes, baby. Oh, geez.
So I know, like, on my mom's side, it was, back, 2 generations.
Mhm.
But my dad's side, I really don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. Nick?
It had to be my mom. For me, my earliest memories are, I can clearly remember my mom having us do our prayers every night, and her dad had passed on just a few years before. So I remember her always including him in those prayers. So it was like, my mom was always very cognizant of making sure we knew who he was,
Mm-hmm. That's
because we
nice.
never got a chance to meet him.
Yeah.
And of course, I think he was a pretty religious guy, and they were Italians. They were like pure Italians, their last name were Pancher, which I think that was short for like Pancherio, or something like that, like straight from Italy.
Yeah.
And so they were Catholics, and I think I was even baptized Catholic.
Oh.
But yeah, she would tell us things about him, and she kept the Catholic cross that they took off of his body when he passed away. I guess it was the last thing they took from his body when he passed away. And she kept it. And when I got old enough, she gave it to me. So things like that, I remember very early. It was kind of like a kickstart to having that relationship. So yeah, my mom was always, because she was a stay-at-home mom. So that was cool. You know, Dad was gone a lot of the time. He worked a lot. So she was always there. So it was, I don't think we ever missed that, you know, saying our prayers at night, since she was always there. So I think that was for me, that was the beginning. And then I think we went to the Methodist church on the west side in Uricksville. That's probably the first church I remember going to regularly. So then, you know, we'd go to the Sunday school, you know, and we went there quite regularly for a couple of years at least. And I don't remember why we quit going there. But there always was a certain Catholic flavor in the house because, like I said, my mom was Italian, you know, her dad was, you know, Italian. And like I said, these are people who came straight from the country. You know, so that, but in my dad's side of the family, I know my dad was a fairly religious person, but he didn't talk about it. You know, it's just kind of the way he was. You know, my dad probably exhibited more Christian characteristics than most people I've ever met in my life. He was just so patient, so kind. Yeah. You know, he hit on all of those.
All the fruits
of faith. He just did it. But he never really talked much about.
Right. My dad's exactly the
you
same
know,
way.
he just did it. It's just who he was. So my mom was kind of the one who kind of did the, you know, all that stuff with us. But
I think that's also like a men are strong feelings thing, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, so yeah, going any back farther than that, like I said, it was just my mom was always really good about teaching us things about her family and how they came up, where they came from. And, you know, and there was always kind of a, you know, she would talk about God a lot. But like I said, there was always a certain, because I think she even had, her Bible might even been a Catholic Bible.
Really?
But, and I'm trying to think, I think it was called like The Way or something. Do you guys remember that? I mean, it was like thicker, I think, than most Bibles. This thing was thick. And one of us still has it, and it just has like highlights and writings all over the place. So you could tell she read it quite a bit. But it was like a big paperback, and I think it was called The Way, and it was blue. I remember it was blue. And it almost looked like something that a young person would have bought for themselves to read, and it's probably something that she kept.
Gotcha.
You know, all through her life, and continued to read. So yeah, I mean, for me, that's basically what did it for me, and then I kind of took it from there. So,
Roger,
What?
7 years ago, back in my day, 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation. I could go through most of it. I don't know that I could do the whole thing.
I can't even do the whole
I think
thing.
that we had to do the
Get a life. Come on.
We had to do the preamble in 7th grade.
You know what was strange though? When I took my Gettysburg test, that was one of the essays was about what the Gettysburg Address meant, what it meant then, now, and its influence for all time. Like, yeah, I can't like maybe recite it line for line all the way through. Yeah. But when I was doing that essay, like I was quoting it.
Yeah.
It was going
Right.
It just falls out of your face. Yeah.
Like scripture.
Yeah. Kind of like that. So yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose my mom, we used to go to the Nazarene church over in Dover. And, but then when we moved, we just kind of quit going. You know.
Did you get that soundbite?
Yeah, we should have recorded that, man.
we just kind of quit going. I mean,
you won't get that one again.
But, you know, we went when we went there, it was on Sundays, Sunday nights, Wednesdays. We did.
You're real church folk.
Vacation Bible school there. plays, Christmas plays. You know, they always say, "Well, you need to do this." So then we'd sit, and my mother would help me practice my lines. But I mean, I enjoyed it. You know, I think more churches should get back to that. You know, but there again, you have to have people to do it.
Yeah, buddy.
And you know, back then there was always.
Well, back then, more people would. I mean, everybody went to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like that was the norm because nothing was open, and not that that's the reason people went, but everything closed because people went to church, and now everything stays open. It's
So
more
nobody
convenient.
wants to go to
It's
church.
more convenient to not go. Yeah.
Not only that, most women didn't work out of the home.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they could take their kids to practices and
Yeah.
rehearsals and whatnot.
But the only thing I remember, now you're not going to believe this, but the pastor was a farmer, okay, and he lived out Johnstown Road. You know where that's at?
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, and his farm was out there, and we went out there on a youth thing on a Wednesday night.
He's going to say they slaughtered animals.
No, no, the Lord had his hand on me because this, I forget, I don't know, whoever was driving, the car was packed, you know, I mean, there was like,
Everybody squeezed in.
everybody squeezed in.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting by the door. And she went around the turn and the door flew open. I didn't fall
That's
out.
what's wrong with Roger.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't
But he
fall. I
didn't
didn't
fall
fall.
out.
I didn't fall out. But I said, Lord, you know,
Yeah, he was
he must
getting
have.
drugged
He must.
along.
He must have held his hand upon me or something.
Let me.
But I'll never forget that.
How old were you? Did you say?
Maybe 10.
He's got all the
11.
noises.
That's that old people talk.
Yeah, yeah. So that happened to my brother once as well. However, he did fall out.
Was that right?
Yes. We were going to yard sales with my mother, and he was mad that she wouldn't let him buy something. Don't remember what it was. And
He didn't shut the door.
well, apparently not. But we were all in the car. My mom said something to him, and he didn't answer. My sister reached over to hit him and hit the seat and realized that he had fallen out of the car.
Oh.
He's chasing behind the car with his flip-flop in his hand, shaking his flip-flop, running down the street. So how we didn't know, but I mean, it was a different time. You know what I mean? Like, people smoked in the car and nobody rode in a car seat.
Michael's like, as this is going on, you're looking at the window and just watching the little rain.
Yeah, I have
Which one's
no
gonna
idea
go
what's
down
happening.
faster? Have you seen that meme? Like the little raindrops, which one's gonna win?
Yep. So as we got older, I always had to ride in the middle. Like I was,
Well, that was the safest spot.
well, no, it wasn't because we did not behave.
Oh,
And
well,
my mom kept a wooden spoon above the visor, and the middle seat gets the beating because you have nowhere to go. So she's reaching back there. Well, she's driving, and I mean, I'm just getting busted up with that wooden spoon. But I joke. I think,
Are you the youngest?
Yes, I think she still carries a wooden spoon in the visor of her car. Yeah, I used to take a whooping.
But that, I mean, as what I can remember it was a good time, and everybody, you know, took care. You took care of the kids.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And we need to get back to that.
Yeah.
But there again, you know, we don't have the people. We don't have the.
Children need structure and discipline.
Yeah.
And I don't mean discipline like they need beat, but like kids.
Discipline seems to be a bad word these days.
Yes. And because of that, because when people think of discipline, they think of corporal punishment.
Yeah.
That's
not what-
pain.
that's not what I
Pain,
mean.
discipline.
Rubber hose.
Yeah. I mean, a shot collar. No, kidding.
I got one of those.
No kidding. They're just kidding. Don't call CPS, please. I don't keep my kids in cages. Seriously.
How come there's 3 of them in the basement?
Shh. Kids need structure. They need to know what to expect. Not at all times, but like
Yeah.
they need to have
Schedule.
a fairly set
Routine.
schedule.
Mhm.
That means if, like at my house, we homeschool, so our kids don't get up at 8:00 in the morning to go get on the bus. But they know by 9, everybody's out of bed. You've had your breakfast. If you haven't gotten to watch your TV show, you don't get to. Like, this is the structure. It's the way that we do it. They know at lunchtime they get a break, they have their lunch, they can go outside and play or go play in the basement or, whatever. And then we're back to school. Once we're done with school, then they get their free time and there's a chore every night. Like they get what the schedule looks like. And then when I'm talking about discipline, they have to know the difference between right and wrong. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Because if they don't know that, they carry that into the church and then into adult life. And being your kid's friend at 12 years old is going to reflect at 15, 18, 20 years old. And they're going to think that they can get away with whatever they want. And I hate to tell you, the world's not going to treat them like you treat them.
That's right.
The world is going to be hard on them. Ain't no boss ever going to tell your kid, that's okay.
It's going to walk right.
You can act that way. Like they will be unemployed the majority of their life. So
We were not afraid of my father, but we were afraid of my father.
Yeah.
Like it's something like
He was a loving man, but you also knew that.
But we knew there are certain things.
Yep.
One of our main rules was you do not go near a body of water.
Yeah.
For any reason.
Yep. I don't care if somebody else is drowning. You ain't going near that body of water.
He had friends who drowned.
Yeah.
And he experienced it. So
Yep.
he knew what that was like.
Yeah.
So we didn't have too many harsh rules, but that was one. I better not catch you near a body of water. And of course, we'd get around a body of water.
Yeah. And then somebody'd call and tell him, and by the time you got home, you're getting whooped.
Get home, complete silence.
Yeah.
And it's like you knew walking through that door, like, he knows.
Listen.
He did.
Where you been?
My dad was in, this is me really telling one of those childhood stories that you ought not tell. You know what I mean? Like, my parents know this.
And my mom would always, my mom liked to go for the graphic, horrible thing. She'd be like, they drag kids out of the water with those big hooks.
Yeah.
Those nets. Like that in your brain. Like, she just scare you.
Yeah. I was in high school and my dad was in a band, secular band, and it was New Year's Eve. And so we're like, me, my brother, and my sister were like, we're going to have a New Year's Eve party. They're going out. What the heck? We're going to invite friends over, yada, yada, yada. We knew what time my parents would leave in order to get to the show. So we plan a party, right? Like, they're not going to know. So the first 3 people showed up before my parents left, and my parents never said a word. Let them come in the house. Let us have the party. Holy crap, did we pay for that the next day? We had to call every one of those kids' parents and tell them what we had done. Apologize. It was awful. It was the most traumatizing experience of my life. It was terrible.
Did you ever have another party?
No. No. But again, we knew the consequence of doing that. We were just too stupid. And that's kids are going to be that way.
Yeah.
But we would have never done something so egregious like you see some kids do nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they try to get in a fight with a police officer.
Right.
Like, we would have never,
Yeah.
never in my life.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still try to wrap my head around kids bringing a knife or a gun to school. Like, we had our issues with other kids. You had bullies. You had people that you knew you was going to have to stand up to.
Yep.
But we never even thought
That never
about
once
that.
crossed our mind.
I mean, never even thought about those kinds of things.
Nope.
It's just so strange.
Talk about being afraid of your father. I was in high school, 17 years old. Got caught smoking 3 times on a school property. Go to the office. He says, well, what do you want? You want the board or suspension?
The board. All day long.
I said, how many whacks am I going to get? He said, till I get tired. I said, well, give me the board. I knew if I went home and said I was suspended, I wouldn't be able to sit down for 2 months.
The board was nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like piece of cherry cheesecake.
Yeah. That's not that I think that the school should paddle kids, but I do think that that's part of the loss is kids nowadays, they don't respect their teachers. They don't respect anybody around them.
Yeah.
My kids are the same way. My oldest boys, they're like, oh, well, so-and-so's an idiot. And in class, we tell them, you don't even know what you're talking about. I'm like, I cannot imagine. Yeah. I had one teacher who was about as goofy as they come, but I was like, I'm going to learn what I can learn and I'm going to pass the class and that's what I'm going to do because I just want out of here.
My sister's a teacher now, and she said she just got a new student the other day. She's from like Texas or something. Actually, 3 new students in one day, but they're not even related. And the one girl comes in and she's like, so like, what are the rules? And Shai's like, I'm sorry? And she's like, the rules for your classroom?
Am I like allowed to have my cell phone out while we're sitting here?
So the first thing Shai says is, well, obviously no cell phones in class. And she's like, well, where do I need to put it? She said, your locker. She's like, I don't know about that. I've got some trust issues. And she's like, you're going to have to take that up with, the office. And I mean, they're like trying to debate.
Yeah,
with her.
trying to negotiate.
You have these kids who are like, well, my mom says that I need to keep my phone on me in case something happens.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can't get around that.
And the people who are doing that are the parents that are my age.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never understand that. Like, I'm looking at my kids like Emmett desperately wants a cell phone. And I'm like, dude, you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
You don't need a cell phone. Like, he's got a watch he can call people on. He can call me, my wife, my mom, my dad, and both of the older boys. That's it.
Yeah.
You can text them. You don't need anybody else calling you. You don't need to call anybody else. You don't need to text anybody else. It's just not necessary at this point.
Yeah.
And there are things you cannot protect them from. We're never.
No.
I was watching, by the way, this is a great Netflix show, and you probably won't see it in your algorithm. It's called You Can't Say That. And it's a show that's filmed in Australia. And it's basically people of different walks of life, and they sit them down and they ask them questions that people write in. There was an episode about transgender people. There was an episode about people in wheelchairs. There was an episode about what did they call them? They call them something different in Australia.
Be nice.
No, it's not an offensive word. I'm just trying to remember what it is. Aboriginal people. So that black people, basically, but they call them Aboriginal. So they're Aborigines, and they're all in different tribes and have different dialects. But basically, but anyhow, it's a fantastic show. I don't remember why I was telling you about it, but it's a fantastic show, and you should watch it. Somebody back me up and help me out here.
We were talking about your kids' cell phones, disciplining them.
I don't remember. Must not have been an important point.
Must not have been.
Well, to go back to what I was saying when I was a kid, the last thing that my mom doing such a good job, the last thing I would think about every night was Jesus and those prayers. That'd be the last thing I'd think about every night. Well, now with these kids and these cell phones, I mean, they're not even thinking about it at all. I mean, their last thoughts are just, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
With whatever,
Yeah.
But
that's part of a big part of the problem too. And somebody else just said to me today that, and again, these are just statements that people make, but the human race was never meant to be so busy.
Right.
And because we're so busy, that's why we have anxiety and stress and all of those things. And then we fixate on things like our cell phone because they keep the brain moving. It's that constant state of, I don't remember.
Maybe they need a hobby.
I don't remember what the word is called.
Something to
Not
occupy their
gratification, right?
mind.
No, they say that it used to be, like in my age group, that a kid had to be redirected, a small child had to be redirected every 13 seconds or something like that. And now it's like 0.8 seconds. Because the phone, and its cartoons are the same way. Like when you watch, and I'm sure none of you have ever watched this, but like The Adventures of Gumball, it's a very fast-moving cartoon, and there's lots of bright colors and flashing lights, and their brains are constantly like all over the place, and it can't wind down.
right.
And boredom is part of what kids should experience. My kids, I'm bored. I'm like, go outside and play.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Use your imagination. You don't have to be entertained by me or somebody else.
Nope.
It is okay to be bored.
But I'll tell them, I'd be like, I'd do anything to be bored.
Yes,
Right.
A little
right.
while.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's not a thing. It's not a real thing.
My grandpa always said, "You're not bored. You're being stupidly lazy."
Yep, exactly. Yes,
And I will never forget
you were
that.
being
I'll never
stupidly
forget
lazy.
that.
You didn't say that growing up in my house because my mom found a chore for you to do.
we weren't allowed to be in the house. If it was nice outside, and really even if it wasn't nice outside, you had to be outside.
Same.
Like my parents expected us to be outside as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, we would come in, do our
Your after school chore, homework, whatever you had to do,
or
and
chore, and then outside.
back outside.
We'd normally eat early too. Like we'd do the chores or whatever, then homework, and then eat, and then we're outside till 8 o'clock.
The lights came on, the street lights. When the street lights kicked on, and even then, sometimes,
Yeah, you stay out there until it's
sometimes
10:30, 11 o'clock.
we would have permission to stay later than that. On a Friday night, we might be able to stay out a little bit later than that. But man, and I'll never forget. Like, anybody remember the TV show Hey Arnold?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he had the
Football
neighborhood
heads.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like that was the gang of kids. We had that. So we lived on McConnell Street, but Packer Street was full of kids. And I mean, we just had just a whole gang of kids. I mean, we were mischievous, don't get me wrong. Like, we would play truth or dare and send somebody over to somebody's house at 9:00 at night to knock on the door and ask for something stupid like a plunger or whatever. But that, like, it was a different level of mischievous. Do you know what I mean? Like, we weren't hurting anybody.
Well, in some ways, the discipline that we had is what set us free.
Yes, absolutely. My dad knew that if I did something I wasn't supposed to, somebody was going to tell him, and he was going to whoop me when I got home.
But I mean, that discipline was like, okay, we understand where we're supposed to be,
Yes.
what we're supposed to do.
Yep.
So within those boundaries, we could be free to do whatever we wanted to do without any distraction.
Oh, yeah.
Where these kids today, they can't even get out of the house because
Right.
they're so distracted and they don't even know what the rules are. There are no boundaries.
I was going to say there really aren't any because, again, once you have a cell phone, your reach is much greater than the kid down the street. I mean, we didn't hang out with just the boys or just the girl. I mean, everybody, and we had a vast age range. My sister was 2 years older than me, and we had kids older than her and kids younger than me in that group. And we played well together. We didn't fight. We didn't argue. And don't get me wrong, like, there was the occasional, like, you're a poopy head, and I don't like the way you looked at me. And, like, there were those things, but I don't recall a fist fight ever breaking out. I don't recall anybody ever being, like, kicked out of the group or made to feel bad about themselves. I remember there was a couple of kids in that circle that smelled bad and didn't have great hygiene, but we still played with them. Like, chances are I probably smelled bad at some point too, but, like, it was just so different then.
Yeah.
Just so different.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. So mine, I would have to go back to, I keep looking at that Facebook message. I can't help it. I'm going to answer it. I can't. I just can't help
It's
it.
killing me.
Yeah, it is. I'm just going to send him a link to the
Just call
podcast.
and be like, you're on the show.
Send him a link to the podcast. Be like, there you go. Now you know. So mine would have been my great grandma, my grandma's mom.
Alabama grandma?
No, not Alabama grandma. This would have been Belle Alley grandma. I don't remember her going to church, but I do remember that she bought me my first Bible. So it is a red, not real leather, but leather looking with my name on it. She bought
Full
those.
size, mini?
It was full size.
Okay.
King James Version. Nobody could read it, but you know what I mean? I had it. So in the beginning, there was the word. And that's about as far as I would get. And I'd be like, I don't get the rest of that. So that would have been like my first memory of like church or something religious, generally speaking. So I had that. And then as I got older, my grandma and grandpa didn't go to church. My grandma that lived in Alabama grandma, she was a functioning alcoholic. So she probably was not much of a church goer, I would guess.
You never know.
I mean, she may have staggered in once or twice, but probably because she was looking for her house and accidentally walked through the door. But it was like, so I don't remember. And again, they lived in Alabama, so we weren't close. Like I didn't like, but I know that my grandma and my parents never really went to church, but they were all connected to faith in one way or another. So it wasn't really until I started coming here at the breakdown of a relationship that really church was even introduced to me directly or my family super directly. Because after that, my dad started coming, and then my grandma attends here now. So I think that was kind of like, it's almost backwards in our
It's cool though.
in our family. But so I remember that my grandma gave me that Bible, and then my parents would send me on a church bus. The older I got, but I was still really young. And I'll never forget this. I've shared this story before, but I don't know if I've shared it on the podcast. I remember that my sister got these really cool Bible tabs for her Bible. She had a white Bible. She had a white one that my great grandma gave her. I had a red one. My brother had a blue one. She got these really cool, like, it would John, Mark, Luke, Matthew, had them all marked out. So you just flip to them real fast. And she got those because she gave her life to Jesus. And so I said to the lady, I want to give my life to Jesus.
Like, here you go.
And so she came over and she talked to me. She's like, what you said is really important. Do you really want to do that? I'm like, I don't know. I just want some of those.
Those are
You
shiny.
didn't get them, did you?
I did not get them. So my Bible is still tabless, if we're going to be completely honest with each other. So I think they knew, which is good that they knew that I wasn't serious because I didn't know.
That's good.
To me, there's a certain age of accountability. Like there are even kids in our church right now that, I'm going to be careful about how I say this because I don't want to sound mean, but like my kids are raised in it every day.
Yeah.
Like they live the gospel.
Uh-huh.
We treat people kindly. Like we give of our time. We give of our resources. We attend church regularly. They get it. There are other kids who don't get it but pretend like they do.
Yeah.
And then they're treated differently because they're older or more mature, quote unquote, and people think that they get it. They don't.
They don't.
You can tell by the way
Yeah.
that they behave that they don't
Yeah.
get it.
Yep.
Like my kids, I would guess that none of you have ever probably seen my kids be disrespectful because they know better, right? Like that's just not. But look around at some of those older kids, and they are disrespectful, and they're obnoxious, and they're rude, and all of those things. There is a difference there.
Yeah.
So I think that age of accountability is important. So I'm thankful that they didn't just
Yeah.
give me a set of Bible tabs and say, "Hey, you're going to heaven," because that wasn't true. It wasn't until I started attending here though that I actually got saved. I was 23, 22,
Probably.
something like that. Maybe even a little bit older than that. I don't remember for sure. I couldn't tell you what day I was saved. I don't know what year it was. I have no idea. But I also couldn't tell you what year any of my kids were born. So if that's any consolation. But
It only took me about 45 years to figure out my kids' birthdays.
Yeah.
I've only had
well,
two.
here's what I know now. I know that I have one turning 18 this year and one turning 17 this year, and that's just scary. So, because that, like, when I have to tell people I have a grown child, like now I am old.
Now you're aging.
Right now I am old. So then obviously for us, we're giving that to our children and then hoping that they will take that on to their children. So yeah, ours is just a little bit backwards.
That's good though. That's I think that's like encouraging because a lot of people our age have parents that aren't saved and they're like, well, I'm never going to reach them. You know, I mean, I've felt that for years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can I do this? You know?
And our job's a lot tougher than our parents were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Their parents.
Yeah.
It's a lot tougher.
Because again, the world has told us that you don't have to. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't go to church. It's okay if you skip Sunday service. It's okay if you don't.
You could just do it online.
And even then, it's okay if you miss one Sunday.
Right.
Nobody's gonna know. Right? It's fine. Let me tell you, people notice and you feel it. So.
Yep. Well, for me, it was kind of neat because my grandma, so her parents had built some ponds out on Paradise Lake Road. Oh gosh, back in the 50s. And long story short, the acreage, I think there was like 180 acres altogether. And they ended up selling the properties. And we were going through some of the old cabins, and there was a chest that my great-grandpa, he came from England. And it's got his locks of hair in it. Like a shaver,
Nice.
a Bible printed in 1897.
Wow.
And I have the chest and Bible. I don't have the hair locks, but so
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
okay.
really. That kind of
That was a
weirded me
very
out.
common thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's.
But it had like the red bows on them and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that there was at least a Bible when they came from England. That would be on my mom's side, and that was the side that had the Moravian side to them. But that was like my great grandma's, like the Moravian. Now with my grandma, she kind of fell off, but towards her later years, she started being more like Lutheran. But then on my dad's side, we were just kind of like, it was Aunt Florence kind of introduced everyone.
If you knew her, you didn't have a choice.
Yeah. So when I was born, they were attending Bethel Worship Center. So we were there for a while. And I think with that, I want to say it was like my grandpa, like the one who just passed, Gook's husband. But I believe his mom might have Adeline. I think she was kind of like the main source in the family. And I do believe I have a Bible from her and like my baby stuff, because I was recently looking for baby pictures of me to resemble Cooper. No.
You can look at him and see Chase. Like
my dad's like, I don't even know why you're looking,
yeah,
kid.
it was like he was pulling out of Chase's butt. Like, I mean, that kid looks just like him.
Yeah.
I've never seen a baby picture of Chase, but you can just like almost push rewind and see it. Like,
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of how mine went. So
That's funny.
how I got here.
Let's back up because we need to talk about your Bethel thing.
Yeah.
So you guys started going to Bethel when Florence resigned the church the first time.
Or the second?
The first time.
First time? Yeah.
Yes, because her second resignation was me, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So her first one, after she resigned the first time, there was like Sean Archer interim until Bill Thompson came.
Yeah.
And then when Bill Thompson came full time, he was here for a while and then left. And there was another Bill
Johnson.
I don't know. There was the second Bill. Second Bill took over.
Yes.
And he had it for a while. And then Florence ultimately came back. But you guys ended up at Bethel then. So the pastor at Bethel then would have been
Dan Sturgill.
Dan Sturgill, who officiated Florence's funeral with me.
Yes.
Super nice guy. Wonderful man. Then it was
the Graskas.
Yes.
So that was mainly who I remember.
Okay.
I think we were there 9 years with them.
I was invited there when they were there. My kids were young.
Yeah.
And it was pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy.
My kids looked at me like,
No
laying
thanks.
on the floor.
where have you taken us? And please don't ever take us back.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
And then John.
Yes,
The
but
Stevensons.
that was, I don't even think we stayed. I don't think because I think maybe my grandpa was on council with, I don't think Uncle Ed was on there at the time.
Well, he had to have been at one point because.
Oh, yeah, he was at one point. Yeah, but I don't think during that split up.
Gotcha.
Maybe he was. I don't know. But basically, when Stevenson came, that's kind of whenever my grandma started coming here.
Gotcha.
But that was kind of whenever I was in high school and I was like, church hurt. They took my best friends away from me type of thing. I'm like, I'm not going to this church. This is stupid. And then I ended up being here like 4.5 years later. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had coffee with John Stevenson.
Oh, yeah.
So I was really enjoyable to sit and talk to him, but he was sharing some of like because
Yeah.
he and Dan
Yeah.
grew up in the same area.
Really?
Did not know each other, but grew up in the same area. His mom, John Stevenson's mom, was an evangelist, and one of her very first places that she ever preached was at a church in that area. And it turns out that Dan Sturgill came out of that church.
No way.
So they can't put together whether or not he was at that revival because he would have been young and couldn't remember. But so then for them to both ultimately pastor the same church many years apart,
small town.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
He said it was in the first week. John said it was in the first week. He sat down at the desk and started looking through paperwork and whatnot, and he starts seeing Pastor Dan Sturgill. So he texts him and he's like, "Hey, did you ever pastor in Yorksville?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was there for like 9 years or whatever."
Yeah.
And it was just mind blown that they had both.
Funny story. So when the Graskas, we had just talked with them over the summer, like because they came to visit my grandpa before he had passed, and they were saying something. It was like the first year the Graskas were down at Bethel, and they basically it was kind of like someone taking advantage of the church, like a situation like that. And Jeff was like, "Oh, we got to help this guy out. We got to help him," So they gave them a hefty check. And I don't know, maybe 8 years later, he's preaching at this place in Ravenna. The same person walks in doing the same old
How
skit.
bizarre,
isn't it?
So
Gosh, so he knew obviously at that point, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. I had this really weird revelation in a situation like that. So Roger will know what I'm talking about here in just a second. So multiple Sunday mornings, we would be in the building. It'd be a small group of us, and it's either super early before service or super late after service. This guy would come in and he would always ask for money. I just need $20. I just need gas money to get my scrap load up to the scrap yard, and then I'll get money from that. I just need $20. And I had a hard time explaining to him that the church doesn't keep cash in the building. Like, obviously for safety reasons. Then I would explain to him, I have to have 2 signers on a check. I don't have anybody here to write a check or to sign a check. Like, I can't just do that for you. The first couple of times we would each give him money out of our pocket, whatever. And the one of the times that he came in, we just didn't have it. Nobody had cash on them. And he got really mad at me and got very aggressive and called me some names and just wasn't very polite. Fast forward 6-8 months, something like that. He comes back. And I heard him talking in the hallway. And I immediately stopped what I was doing. I went out and I just said, hey, I just want to let you know we are not going to help you today. I said, if you'll recall the last time you were here, you were incredibly aggressive because we weren't able to help you. I said, and that's just not something that we are going to tolerate. I said, so while I appreciate it, if you want to stick around for service, we'd love to have you, but otherwise we can't help you. Out the door he went, mumbling and grumbling. I was on social media the other day and saw that he has passed away. And, you know, people die all the time, right? Like, I don't feel bad. There's a GoFundMe for his funeral. And I'm like, you know what? At some point, you have to take care of yourself, right? Like, I feel for people that are struggling, but you can't count on the rest of the world to take care of you all the time.
Yeah, you can't spend your whole life with your hands out.
Right. Like, because then that's what happens. You know what I mean? Like, his poverty has now become his children's poverty because guess what? They can't afford to even bury the man. He had nothing nothing planned. And so while I feel very badly for those children, but like, what are you going to do? Okay, we got to talk about one more thing. We need to talk about this lock of hair thing. So you said it's normal, Nick.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, it was. Not
It was
anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Why did we do that? Did we know DNA was going to come around and we might need to...
Just a
It was
very personal... That was the one thing that you could, as a keepsake, would
Okay.
last
But I will say this was when
forever.
my great grandpa was like 3 or 4. Like he
Okay.
was little.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I was going to
'Cause
say,
there's
my
even,
family was always
like,
that
locks
first
of-
haircut.
Yes.
The child's first
And,
haircut.
and I know
Like-
that like sometimes when a guy would go to war, his wife would send a lock of hair of her hair. I remember those types of things that was...
There's locks of Lincoln's hair after he was killed.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
that
bizarre.
so many people got mementos of his hair.
Mhm.
It was just something that everybody did, especially like for funerals or
Yeah.
a sudden death, something like that.
Interesting.
Or
That's the reason he was buried in a stovetop hat.
Yeah, because he was bald. They cut all these spots out
all
of
his
his
hair
hair.
was gone.
So here was the reason that I asked. So is that something that people do for their children? Like, is that...
I don't know.
Like, because I was thinking I'll just start shaving my toes and putting that in baby food jars for my kids.
Or keeping their teeth.
Yeah, that is so gross. This is so gross. So no, that's not
It
acceptable.
wasn't even just for children. Anybody could,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
So I should shave my toes and then gift that to my wife when I pass away.
go right ahead. But
You don't think she's gonna keep it?
no,
You don't think
no.
That's too bad.
It's not the kind of legacy you want to leave behind. Just say one of your Elvis sideburns.
So listen,
Put that in
I
a little glass case, and
Pretend like it's real.
yeah,
in this episode need to admit something. It's stressful. I sold one of my jumpsuits.
why?
I actually sold 2.
So both of them?
2. I sold 2.
To get a better one?
Well, I don't know what I'm doing with the money yet, but I sold 2. I sold one. I bought one on
What
eBay.
were you thinking?
I know. And after I did it and the guy sent me the money, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I've been there.
really, really
Were they
disgusting
one of the
feeling.
ones that didn't
Yeah.
fit?
Well, okay. So that's the next bad part of this story. I had a show last Friday, went to the show, fully prepared to just knock it out of the park. I put the jumpsuit on and it didn't fit. I mean, I put it on, but it was suck it in,
Which
zip
one?
it up. My eagle jumpsuit, or my owl jumpsuit. My owl jumpsuit.
You haven't had that very long.
No, I haven't. So thank you for
What's going on?
pointing that out. The extra around the middle is what's going on now. That's what's happening.
Too many stops at McDonald's.
Yes. And listen, I did it today. I drove out of my way to get McDonald's
He's
today.
blaming
I got
Janine
it
for all of
today,
it too.
Yes. Yeah. So I bought a black fireworks suit on eBay for $250. I knew it wasn't going to fit me, but I wanted the belt. So I bought it with the idea that I'll flip the suit, keep the belt. So I did that. I sold that suit within 13 minutes of having received it. Not a joke. 13 minutes, it was gone. And then I decided, I bought a new wig. Did I tell you about the new wig? It's like $1,500. It was stupid. But it's all human hair. Maybe that's shave your toes and sell it to.
Yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense. It's all human hair, and it's custom fitted for my head. So it's a
I
whole.
feel like that's more weird.
You're
than,
probably
like-
right, but at the time I wasn't thinking it until we got to this point, and now I'm like, oh, that's kind of
Like, you
strange.
got someone else's
Yeah,
hair
I'm
on
wearing
your
somebody
head.
else's hair on my head. This is kind of strange. So
Could be President Lincoln's. We don't
yeah,
know.
we don't know.
Meanwhile, I just have my great grandfather's pretty locks in a frame.
Yeah.
So I bought the wig, and then I was like, I spent all of my Elvis money, and I hate not having any because when I see something I want to be able to buy it. So I always have to have a little bit of cash sitting in the kitty. So I thought, you know what? I don't wear this one. I've worn it twice. I don't love it. I bought it used. It fits, but it's not my favorite. I'm going to sell it. Anybody care to guess
How
which
much?
one?
Oh.
Oh, I
Black
know
one?
which one.
Not the black one.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
Which ones do you have again?
So I have a powder blue. I have red, which is the Burn in Love suit. I have my owl jumpsuit. I have my peacock jumpsuit. I have my black fireworks suit, and then I have my aloha suit.
The peacock.
It's a peacock.
No, you didn't.
Nope.
Nope.
No?
He's not kidding.
My aloha suit. I fought for years to get that thing. And I sold, and like, as soon as I did it, I was like, why did I ever do this? As soon as I put it in the box, I was
Did it
like,
have the cape too?
it did have the cape, but I did not sell the cape. The cape's getting framed and going on the wall in the office.
All right.
So I had it listed for more than I paid for it because I paid to have it restored and anyhow. So I had it listed for more than I paid for it. And I had a guy who'd messaged me a long time ago trying to get me to sell it to him. And I was like, no, I'm not ready to sell it, yada, yada, yada. So he messaged me. He's like, hey, I saw the jumpsuit. He's like, I don't really want the cape. I just want the suit. Would you sell me just the suit? And I was like, yeah, but it's not going to be a lot less because they kind of go hand in hand. That cape won't fit another suit because of the way it attaches at the collar, so on and so forth. So he asked me my price and I gave it to him, which was what I paid for the whole thing, belt included, the whole thing. And he's like, all right, I'll take it. So I'm walking away and making a boatload of money on the dumb thing. So
Yeah.
I couldn't help it. But now
Chase flipped those cards.
he told me he was gonna.
Did you know how much?
He told me they were selling for like $150 a box.
Yeah, he bought 4 of them.
4 of them
They were
at $50 a piece, $55 a
He
piece.
sold them for $500. They were on for like.
Will you please
7
tell my
minutes.
wife this? Because when I buy baseball cards, she's all like,
I'm telling you,
you're so stupid.
it's this
Like, they're like
the
cash.
Pokemon.
it's this
Like, they are
particular
like cash.
Pokemon set
And-
that you can't get anywhere. And the secondhand sale price is so crazy right now,
He said for one singular pack, it could be like $15 for just one little
Oh, yeah.
pack.
which are $4 and $5 a piece
yeah,
in the store.
normally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts. And he sent me that text after I'd already left Walmart. I should have turned around and gone back because you can't ever get them.
He said people have already pre-ordered them, but like they can't
Haven't
even
gotten them yet.
fulfill the order
Yeah.
because they're like
They're so far behind.
But they're like these graded cards.
Yep.
In the plastic. Or
Yep.
Slab.
Especially if they're
Slab.
PSA
I
graded.
told her, I said, they're cash.
Yep.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just keep going up.
It's
Don't
crazy.
believe me.
It's crazy that the trading card market is so hot. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So back to your Elvis.
Yes.
What's today? Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday.
So Monday night, I was just scrolling through Amazon Prime,
Mhm.
and That's the Way It Is
Mhm.
was free. I could watch it for free. So I'm like, all right, I'll just click
It's a
on it.
good
So I watched it.
documentary.
Yeah, and I'd seen it a long time
Yeah.
ago. But anyway, that suit he wears in there was really cool. I thought, Michael should get him one of those.
Which
with
one
the
was it?
beads. It's got the beads hanging.
I had an
Got the
opportunity to buy it,
crisscross.
and Alyssa would not let me. She thinks it's hideous.
Well, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got the fringe across the chest in the V shape, and then she thinks it's hideous.
But we're sitting there watching it, and Maggie comes down, and she's like, "Why are you watching this?" I'm like, what do you mean? Why are we watching?
Yeah.
It? She goes, "It's just so boring." Like what?
When I see her
And,
again, she's gonna get it.
And it was right at the moment where he starts kissing all the girls, girl after girl after girl. And he's
Like you
kissing
said,
them all,
it
and
was
he's kissing
boring.
them all
Right on the lips. Yeah,
Right on the
COVID
lip.
wasn't a thing then. He didn't
And
care.
we're like, well, see that, Mag? I'm saying, like, look at all them women up there.
Yeah.
All them women want to kiss him.
Screaming, passing out.
And she's like, he's not even that good looking.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So listen, my last nursing home show. I love going to the nursing homes. And for us, it is really life-giving because a lot of those people don't get to see a lot of friendly faces. They don't get a lot of visitors. And we tend to end up in higher-end nursing homes because of our price. Like, I'm not $150 Elvis. And the people who book me know that. Like, they've seen my videos. They know. Yeah. And so the one that we go to, Harrison on 5th in Columbus, they have a memory care wing. Now, I don't particularly like that show. Like it's only usually ever a half hour, but it's very uncomfortable because those ladies don't remember you from minute to minute a lot of times. And so like sometimes they freak out and sometimes they're like super loving. And so I'm doing the show. I get to the end and you can't have like real audio equipment over there because the loud sounds kind of freak them out. Yeah. So typically it's just like a little Bluetooth speaker and I'm singing with no microphone. And so it's uncomfortable. So it's like really uncomfortable. And as we were wrapping up the last show, this lady comes walking down the hallway and she sees me and she just lights up. And so I'm pretty well done singing at this point. And she comes over to get a picture with me. And the next thing I know, her hand is in my jumpsuit. Like she's just reaching for whatever she can get. I'm dying. Everybody else is dying. Nobody's stopping her. It's just happening.
You were hoping she was slipping you a 50.
Right. Oh, I've had that happen. I went to one show, yeah, because they were older ladies, but they were like it wasn't a nursing home show. It's uncomfortable. That's all I can say. It's uncomfortable. But
I saw them here.
Yeah, it is uncomfortable. But then I had another lady after her. She comes over and she's one of the ones that doesn't really remember you from minute to minute. And so she would see me and she would realize like, oh, Elvis is here. And she would just glow and just be so excited. And then she would kind of float off and you would notice. And the next thing I know, she's grabbing my butt. And I'm talking handful. And again, everybody's laughing. And I'm like, do I just come to the nursing home to get assaulted? Is that what this is now?
You were the butt of the joke.
Yeah. So here's what I said. This is my new line. I always tell the people when I get to the nursing home, especially when my wife goes with me, which she almost always does. I always tell ladies, now we have to behave. My wife is here. I don't want anybody getting in trouble, including myself. I have to go home with her tonight. And then, so I always make that joke. But then I always tell them, the reason I love doing these shows is you ladies give me way more affection than my wife ever does. I mean, it's nuts. But yeah, so I sold my Aloha. My Peacock is listed right now. But, and the only reason I'm going to sell that one is to buy a bigger one, buy a new one. So I'm not going to.
And the Tiger one, this is just.
Tiger has not come yet.
Now, or what?
He has not come yet. So he's being repaired right now. And
still in transit?
He is. No, he made it to them on the 3rd of January. So hopefully they've made some progress and we'll have a new belt or a new suit soon.
You might have it by the end of February.
You know what, though? I would rather it be right than it to be fast. So, you know what I mean? It's a lot of money. I want her to get them right. I am thinking, though, that before I sell this Peacock, I have a seamstress in Philly who I'm probably going to take it to and see if she can just let out the inside of the legs a little bit.
Is it Susan?
No, her name is Donna. Yes, Donna's a wonderful lady. Love her to death.
Donna.
So,
yeah, I've flipped plenty of things on eBay that I wish I would have kept.
Chase.
Why did I do that?
Craziest thing I've ever flipped. Yeah. Oh, I don't sell on eBay.
You don't?
For not Elvis jumpsuits.
Oh.
Because I sold that last jumpsuit at $1,600. eBay takes 13% of that.
Oh, that's true.
18%.
Yeah.
No, 13%. 13%. And then if they pay you with PayPal, PayPal takes a cut of that as well. I'm like, nah, I don't do that no more. And I always tell everybody, you can pay me with goods and services. I'm completely cool with that, but you cover the fee because I'm not losing money on the deal. Anyhow, what was I saying before that?
I said flip plenty of things.
Oh, yeah, the craziest thing I've ever flipped on eBay. Ready for this? No. Baby monitors.
Oh.
Sounds strange, right? They were the Play School ones from Toy Story.
Oh,
They looked just like the Play School ones from Toy Story. Found them at a thrift shop for $7, sold them for $120.
Wow.
Craziest thing I've ever flipped in my life. I saw them and I was like, $7? Heck yeah, I'm going to take these just for the nostalgia because we have a Bullseye, we have a Woody, we have a Buzz, we have Bo Peep. We've got all of the things and we kept them in a tote. And I was like, how cool to have your army guys with the monitors and it's all. And I was like, you know what? It's all in a tote. Why do I need these things? So I hopped on eBay to see what they were selling for. $120. And they were gone within 2 days. So
they're worth that because of
the movie. Yeah, because of the movie, the nostalgia from the movie. Because they literally it's static. You know what I mean? They're junk, but yeah, people buy that stuff. So
have you watched Inside Out 2?
I have not.
Oh, it's good.
I have not.
They bring new emotions, and the one emotion is nostalgia. And nostalgia starts trying to come in, talking "Oh, it's been too long." And they're like, "We're not ready for you yet." It's good. You gotta
That's
watch
funny.
It.
What kind of strange movies are you?
Yeah, cartoons.
Yeah,
cartoons, kids movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
cartoons.
Yeah.
Whatever keeps Cooper's attention.
Just let Pastor Michael sing to him.
Yeah.
Did he have fun? Did he have fun? That's great.
Oh,
That's
my
great.
God.
I'm going to tell you.
I think I got a picture of it.
So, listen, when that happened, I had already had told Roger in the morning, like, I practiced it. We may end up doing it. I'm not planning to, but if it happens, we're just going to roll with it.
Oh, the squirrel?
The squirrel song, like Mississippi Squirrel Revival. I was like, I don't really genuinely plan to sing it, but if it happens, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm fully prepared. So I had my microphone in my back pocket and thinking, I'm going to, and I really did try to, like, when I made the joke about Alyssa saying no, I was like, I'm going to skim past it and we're going to keep moving. That did not happen. I was so excited to get to do that. So excited. And then Sid went and narked on me.
Well, I had to. The first thing Alyssa said was, yeah, he did fine. This little thing, like, it plays music, and he started going like this. And I'm like, all right, I got to tell you. I'm like, I'm probably going to be the first one.
I was like,
you.
I got in the house, and Easton goes, Sid told on you. I was like, what the heck? You weren't even out of the building, and she knew.
I had to.
Oh, jeez.
There was no other way of explaining that.
Now, fun story about that, because we recorded that service, that microphone that I used to sing is not in the live stream portion. It's not in there. So I had to go back and cut 3 minutes of silence out of that podcast. Mm-hmm. So when somebody listens to that, they're going to hear me talking about it, not hear me sing it, and then go right back into preaching. It's a really uncomfortable, like...
transition.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So, well, Pastor Roger, it's your turn to pray tonight.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we do thank you, Lord, for this day. Lord, we just ask that you just take and be with each person, that's sitting around this table, Lord, and be with all those that have brought us to you, Lord.
Yes.
And just be with them. And Lord, we just ask that you take and give us safe travels home, Lord, and safe travels to Sunday, so that we can be here to worship you and to honor you, Lord. And we ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Hey friends, Pastor Michael again. If you've enjoyed this podcast, you should consider joining us on Sunday mornings. Our address is 1943 North Water Street Extension in Yorksville. We'd love to have you join us for an in-person service.